All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. My hair is barely connected to my scalp. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Good to see y'all. Yeah. Salt lickers, bringing it. Yeah, two fascists arguing with each other in the Oval Office. Yep. How are you? Um, okay. Denver posting this. Scientists supposedly match Earth's ice age crystals with orbital shifts. The authors found that each glaciation of the past 900,000 years follows a predictable pattern. This natural pattern, in the absence of human greenhouse gas emissions, suggests that we should currently be in the middle of a stable interglacial, and that the next ice age would begin many millennia in the future, approximately 10,000 years from now. Okay, well, yeah. Um, well, as you might have guessed, the Substack thing didn't really work out, and I hope that people, I'm sure that people may not have heard me clearly when I said I'll just be here today. We'll start the show here today, and then if Substack works out, we'll go over there or something like that. But Substack, I don't know. thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Like, everybody came and subscribed to the channel. You all did your part, and I appreciate that. You guys did what I asked of you, and I thank you for that. But for some reason, Substack seems a little bit slow on the uptake. I don't know why. Anyways, I have enough subscribers, but they won't let me go live. So I asked for an exception to go live, or maybe they'll figure it out and go look at my channel and go like, oh, you have plenty of subscribers to go live. Here you go live. They won't let me go live. So we'll have to do it next week, or I'll have to figure out something else. I don't know, man. I'm sorry for the confusion. But anyways, let's get into it, because there's no feed. There's no live. Thanks for going there, guys. Yeah, no, my Substack is not really, there's not much happening there. I started it, over a year ago, thinking I was going to, start doing stuff there. And what I was thinking was that I would start just doing my live streams, once a week there, and then maybe do more live streams there, so that, can use my Substack as a non-censored place to watch the show, like a focused, funneled, non-censored place to watch the show. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Thanks, Andre. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm okay. Everything, I'm all right. I'm not in immediate danger on any level. But thanks for checking it out. Well, so whenever Substack gets figured out, I will try it. Maybe next week. I'll try it next week. We'll see. But I really do appreciate you guys jumping over there and subscribing. I think that, ultimately will help out. Ultimately, it will help everything get figured out. And I will post other things there as well. Because I do do some writing once in a while. And I do like to post other things once in a while. And so, it'll be just kind of like a nice. The other thing about Substack, one more thought, is that I have divided a lot of my social media between what I do musically and kind of, what I do musically and in other parts of my life. I do all that stuff on my other social media, and then Black Bear News is kind of walled off from that social media on purpose. But it would be kind of cool if Substack could be a place where I can kind of merge those two things and not have them be so separate and distinct. But for now, it actually really works out that they're separate and distinct, because, on several of my social media platforms, people just would not understand my point of view at all. It's hard enough even here for some people to even like grasp like the idea that I could talk about things without having to be. And I'm not talking about, please don't take this personally. If you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. I'm just saying in general. Sometimes people have a hard time understanding that I'm not taking an emotional position on things. And on all my other social media feeds, uh, the positions are very emotional, and maybe not, more emotion and less information. And that's okay. That's all right. I let people do their thing and be people and have their opinions, and I'm just not going to engage, and I don't really want to like spend my time engaging with people on other platforms. I don't want to spend my time doing that. I just don't think that's a good time, and sometimes it's not even really helpful. So I just let that go. Anyways, for now, we're going to start out with some climate change stuff, or more climate change type news. I thought this was a pretty good article on the idea that climate change might actually hurt the people that are trying to take advantage of climate change. right? There are a lot of entities out there, oligarchs, wealthy resource extractors, capitalists, whatever you want to call them, that want to take advantage of the fact that we're melting the ice caps and that we're destroying the planet. But they want to, they see it as an opportunity to grab even more stuff, which is why actually, I feel like is a part of the reason why the Trump administration is in power right now is precisely because of the fact that the climate is falling apart and is unraveling, and it is a good chance for the powers that be to quickly move into spaces and opportunities left open by unrest, and that unrest can be political, economic, or environmental unrest. Anyways, in the case of the Arctic, because the Arctic is melting, people are like, "Oh, the ice is going away. Maybe we can start drilling and digging for stuff." Um, Climate change could thwart Trump's efforts to occupy Greenland. The world's largest island is known for its vast ice sheet, sprawling fjords, and abundance of wildlife, from polar bears to narwhals. It's also one of the latest targets in President Donald Trump's bid for U.S. energy and military expansion. Since his first term, Trump has talked of securing Greenland for its critical minerals, untapped oil reserves, opportunities for military positioning, and central location in the international shipping network, particularly as melting sea ice opens up new trade routes. Now, he is pushing for a Greenland land grab with renewed vigor, offering to purchase the island from Denmark or even potentially take it by force. What do you guys think? What's the over under on taking by force? But the same warming temperatures that may transform the island into a trading hotspot are making it more inhospitable to development, and research shows. Thawing permafrost and ice triggers landslides along jagged fjords and destabilizes the landscape that infrastructure would need to lie on top of, while loose sea ice makes passing through Greenland's waters a perilous journey. Oil and gas companies around the world are facing similar issues as the very climate impacts they helped cause are threatening operations. Greenland is 6,000 times the size of Philadelphia, with just 3% of the city's population. The Arctic island's rugged terrain and frigid climate is not for the faint of heart, with temperatures in the winter plunging to as low as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But overall, the Arctic is warming 4 times as quickly as the rest of the world. Since 1992, Greenland has lost trillions of metric tons of ice. Theoretically, this ice melt would open or should open up new shipping lanes that would connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans in a fraction of the time it would take otherwise. There is evidence that this trend is already happening. The number of unique ships entering the Arctic increased by nearly 40% between 2013 and 2023, according to the Intergovernmental Arctic Council. However, in practice, conditions are still rough in many of the waters around Greenland. You can say there's going to be less ice, but there's going to be a lot more ice drifting around to puncture ships. Melody Brown Birkins, director of the Institute of Arctic Studies at Dartmouth College, told Scientific American. The people of Greenland have spent millennia adapting their lifestyles and infrastructure to the presence of snow and ice, but rapid melting has disrupted road systems, decreased fish stocks, and triggered landslides. These events show that Greenland may not be as ideal for mineral extraction, military operations, and oil and gas development as Trump thinks, according to Paul Bierman, a geologist at the University of Vermont. Now, amplified by climate change, natural hazards make resource extraction and military endeavors in Greenland uncertain, expensive, and potentially deadly, Bierman wrote in a recent article for The Conversation. Last year, Bierman published a book, When the Ice Is Gone, about the history of Greenland's melting ice sheet. He pointed out that nations, including Norse Vikings, have tried to occupy and develop Greenland in the past, to no avail. Since the mid-20th century, the U.S. has had the rights to operate military outposts in Greenland, but many of them have crumbled under the harsh conditions. Permafrost thaw is currently jeopardizing the U.S.-operated Pituffik space base, Pituffik Space Base, formerly the Tool Air Base, which has seen cracked roads and slanting of its banquet halls in recent years as the land destabilized. Journalist Natasha Maki Jessen Peterson reported on this issue for ICN in 2023. There's another barrier standing in the way of the U.S. pursuit of Greenland. Many residents don't want to be Americans, despite Trump's assurances that the people want to be with us. A recent poll showed 85% of Greenland's population doesn't want to be part of the U.S. All right. I think you guys get the picture. That's all I'm going to read of that right now. Yeah, I mean, just to quickly sum up, I don't really need to rehash what is being said there. But climate change will make any endeavor, any business as usual type of endeavor, and that includes military operations, much more challenging. And people are not going to be able to do the things they think they're going to do in the future, in the near future, and in the present. This is also showing to be true. Case in point, what's going on in France. Oh no, this is not it. Yeah, this is it. You need to do that. Hold on. Severe floods caused by tropical cyclone Garance in the Saint-Denis of Réunion region, France. Just massive. I've seen several videos of this. And they're really getting tossed around there. Gene Whitwer says, I heard the U.S. has a treaty with Greenland that allows the U.S. to do whatever they want militarily. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably true. So this is an example of how doing business as usual is going to become harder and harder. I feel like good investments right now are in things that are resilient, including yourself, if you want to know what to invest in the future. This from the Thacker Pass Twitter, or X, or whatever the kids call it these days. Researchers have found 16 compounds found in car tires in leafy green vegetables sold at supermarkets around the world, including the extremely toxic 6-PPD. Hashtag cars are ecocide. They are ecocide. This is from frontiers.org, frontiersin.org. Uptake of tire-derived compounds in leafy vegetables and implications for human dietary exposure. Just quickly read this introduction. Tire and road wear particles are one of the most abundant types of microplastic entering the environment. The toxicity of tire and road wear particles has been linked to their organic additives and associated transformation products. Tire and road wear particles and associated tire-derived compounds are introduced to agricultural environment via atmospheric deposition, irrigation, and reclaimed wastewater, and use of biosolids, or treated sewage sludge, as fertilizer. In the agricultural environment, these tire-derived compounds could be taken up by edible plants, leading to human exposure. This makes me think of the old story about leaded gasoline being found, the lead from burning of leaded gasoline being found all over the planet, and far and wide, in places where it shouldn't actually have been, because there wasn't a lot of burning of leaded gasoline, um, in the Arctic, let's say, or deep in the ocean. But there was lead there, basically because it went everywhere. So do microplastics. So do compounds from tires. And so, you know, when people say that humans can't possibly change the composition of the planet, totally nod your head and go, "Yep, yeah, it's totally true, bro." It is. There is a. Um, Today is kind of like a general boycott day. Have you guys been peeping that? If you're taking part, if you're interested, it is a general boycott day. Um, where people are encouraged not to buy things, especially from large chains, gas, and whatever you can not engage in buying. Try not to do that. Today is the day. Still early in the day, so you can start now and boycott for the rest of the day. Um, the aviation gas still has lead. Uh, does it? I didn't know that. Okay. um, Anyways, this is in Greece. Huge mobilizations taking place right across Greece today as workers bring capitalism to a standstill in a breathtaking general strike. Only workers have the power to stop the bosses. Ding, ding, ding. This is what solidarity looks like. So Greece is doing it right. They're boycotting the whole dang thing. Extra bulla. Yeah, that's one of the ways to actually save the planet is to be poor. Deebs, I don't know why you have to be so. I don't know what Andre is saying that is so like. I mean, yeah, talk it out, slug it out if you have to, but I don't know why you need to block him. I'm not sure what he's saying to you that's so offensive. That's what Andre thinks. I'm pretty sure. And oh, you're all for taking Greenland? Okay. Okay. Is that how you want to take Greenland? Or I don't know. I can't really tell when people are joking sometimes. So there's always that too. Sorry, I meant to highlight this. Half the time, I think people are just you know being silly, and so the best. I think the best approach in the chats is to assume that whatever somebody is saying is sarcastic, and then go from there. That's just me. That's just me. I mean, yeah, well, you know, argue, don't argue, do what you want. I don't think it's really all that. I'm just, do what you want. Just suggesting that it's probably not that serious. Okay. Um, I got you. I got you. There you go. Kameshwari Kate has the right attitude. I just assume that whatever somebody's saying is a joke first, and then go from there. Because if I take it seriously, then I'll just take it way too seriously. But anyways, you guys are good. Everybody's good. Um, and that's a good day indeed, Kamashori Kate. Oh, right. Um, oh, by the way, just a public service announcement. I released an EP today, which is just 3 songs. 3 songs that I've already released before, but it's kind of a. I'm working on another music project, and these songs were supposed to go on the music project I was working on. Short explanation: everything's totally changed up now, so I'm like in a different mind space. So I put the 3 songs I had for the record on their own little collection. And so if you guys want to check it out, these songs have already been, you might have heard them, you might not have, but it's here on my Bandcamp, and I'm posting it in the chats if you want to check it out. Oh, Thomas Midgley, yeah, the inventor of leaded gas. Yep, yep, yep. He also invented Freon, another delightful compound. Yeah. Yep. Just making the most poisonous shit ever and then putting it out there for everyone to consume. Hope you like it. Oh, thanks. Oh, that yes, you did buy it. Kamashore Kate. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. The guy Mars wasn't joking. No, he wasn't joking. But he was an idiot. He was silly. He was silly. That guy. He took himself way too seriously, I think. Mars. What? Anyways. Um. Speaking of silliness, uh, Trump and Zelensky had a feud in the White House, and Zelensky left. They were supposed to sign a minerals deal, and Trump scolded him like an errant schoolboy, and Zelensky didn't like that, and so he left. He got what? Okay. Zelensky leaves White House early after furious meeting where Trump claims he disrespected U.S. and is not ready for peace. It doesn't seem that he is, so that might actually be a true statement, but I don't know. Um, let's see. I think we got to go down here. I mean, the EU, the stance of a lot of people, and that includes Zelensky, is that Russia is the aggressor, and we didn't do anything to deserve this, which is a completely ignorant and gaslighting filled stance. So if you understand what gaslighting is, it's kind of like trying to make somebody believe that something is happening that isn't. Or another example is, if you walked up and punched somebody in the face and they got pissed off at you, and then you went like, "Dude, what's the matter with you? Why? What's it? You control your temper, bro." That's gaslighting, right? And that's exactly what is happening in the Ukraine war. Like, we kept punching Russia in the face until they were like, "Okay, listen, man, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to punch you back. I told you to stop, and I've been telling you for about 10 years to stop, and I'm gonna have to do something to stop you from continuing to jab me in the face." And that's what happened. That is reality. But the gaslighting is that Russia, just for no reason at all, just rolled on into Ukraine. And that's just not an educated stance to take on the issue. Sorry, that's my opinion, and it's also the truth. But think what you want, do what you want. I don't know. People are going to think whatever they want. Um, Anyways, Trump called off the talks with Zelensky today. Trump said, "We have just heard from Zelensky too." As he posted on social media, blah blah blah. Hold on. Sorry, there's been a lot that's happened, so I need to. No mineral deal signed. White House confirmed that Trump and Zelensky did not sign a mineral deal during their talks today. I'm trying to get to the part where there's a bunch of updates to this. Oh, there's riots in Greece. Shoot. Hold on. All right, let me get back to this story. Ukrainian President Zelensky cut his visit short after a heated exchange with Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, who accused him of disrespectful behavior during their talks in the Oval Office. I don't know what that, I don't know what he did to disrespect those guys, but in a social media update, Trump said he has determined that Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. So the Ukrainian leader disrespected the United States of America and his cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. In their earlier talks, Trump repeatedly told Zelensky that he was gambling with the lives of millions with a third world war, and told him to stop holding out for further security guarantees, saying, "You're either going to make a deal or we are out." Trump appeared to draw false equivalence between the two sides of the war. I don't know what that means. That sounds like an addition from the editor. Positioning himself for both Ukraine and Russia as he pursues a peace deal, in a stark contrast to Zelensky's comments about Putin as a killer and terrorist who invaded Ukraine, with whom he is not ready to compromise on the Ukrainian territory. So it sounds like Zelensky thinks that he has more power in the negotiations than he actually does, and I don't know. Yeah, Zelensky is a thug, and they're, well, he's our thug right now. But Creative Experiment says, "Remember, I said the next terrorist attack would be from a Ukraine nationalist." Zelensky basically threatened that in the Oval. Did he? Is that what happened? Because I wasn't really sure about the exchange that led to that. To Trump basically saying adios. Anyways, let's keep going. We're going to listen to an exchange on the Ukraine situation between George Galloway and Piers Morgan, and this is pretty. George Galloway lays out exactly the what, the whys, and the wherefores here. If anybody is confused on like what is happening in Ukraine, why Ukraine is happening, and we'll keep going into it here for a second.
It's really come to something when, having spent a lifetime myself fighting against NATO and American wars, it's the Americans that are trying to stop the war, and Piers Morgan, Boris Johnson, and Keir Starmer who are trying to keep it going.
I don't want to keep it going.
A lot of Ukrainian,
I don't want to keep it going.
You've got a lot of Ukrainian blood on your hands. You have lied about this war from the beginning.
Actually, Vladimir,
you have lied about the origin of this war, about the duration of this war, about the course of this war, and now having caused you and your war party the death of 1 million Ukrainians while claiming to love Ukrainians, you're now calling for British lives to be lost.
What a load of absolute bullshit.
That constitutes close to a war crime. You're going to regret it when very soon Zelensky is sitting in a beachfront villa somewhere counting his ill-gotten gains, and all the secrets of the rampant corruption between the Democrats and the Zelensky regime begin to tumble out of the cupboard. This war did not begin 3 years ago. You very well know that it began in 2014. You very well know that it began with a coup against the elected president of Ukraine, backed by Victoria Nuland and the administration at that time, and supported by you. You very well know that the criminalization of the Russian language, which followed hard on the heels of that coup, was the proximate reason for an uprising in the east of the country amongst Russian-speaking, ethnically Russian people. You very well know that Zelensky and his predecessor rained down shot and shell on the people of East Ukraine for 8 years before Putin intervened in 2022, and that 14,000 people, most of them women and children, were killed in that onslaught. You very well know that Zelensky was preparing for a final onslaught, a final solution. And while I'm on that subject, you're always telling us how much you love the Jews. You're supporting a regime which puts up statues to Nazi collaborators, to generals of the Galician division of the SS. You are
Zelensky is Jewish, you know that, right? You know Zelensky's Jewish, right? Do you?
But that's like saying there's no racism in America because Obama.
So so you're calling the Jewish leader of Ukraine a Nazi?
Listen,
is that your position?
That's like saying there's no racism in America because Obama was briefly the president of the country. The entire western part
of Ukraine. Interesting point there by Piers. Well, you can't be a Nazi if you're Jewish. I care to debate that one. That we could, or it doesn't actually need any debate. Anyways, I think you guys get the idea. George Galloway just kind of throwing down the. But this is why people are so confused, is because Brian Stelter is still on TV, dishing out the propaganda by the ladleful, making it taste good. And this is Nick from Revolutionary Blackout, kind of breaking down that Brian Stelter. I'm not going to play the Brian Stelter clip. I'm going to play Nick breaking it down because I think he does a good job of pointing out how dumb this is. But
Brian Stelter from CNN claims that the true reason why Americans are turning against the Ukraine war is because we're too stupid to actually realize that the Ukraine war boosts the military-industrial complex.
Explicitly, it's pretty obvious what's happening. Some of this, I fear, is about illiteracy on the part of the voters, not knowing, for example, about the spending that's going to Ukraine that's actually funding American technology, right? Funding American manufacturing plants. And by the time you do learn those facts, it's too late.
Said like a man whose salary is paid by arms manufacturers. This is exactly why pro-war, pro-NATO progressives like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Ilhan Omar, who claims we are fighting a war in Ukraine for democracy and because we want to defend the Ukrainian people, are youthful idiots at best. Meanwhile, neocons in the Democratic Party openly admit that the Ukraine war is beneficial because we can weaken Russia while only sacrificing Ukrainians.
You're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine.
They also love how they can use Ukrainians as war guinea pigs as a way to test new battlefield innovations and new weapon systems. This is exactly why the left is supposed to oppose the Ukraine war Unlike the NATO sellout left, led by Bernie Sanders and European Green Party, the left is supposed to advocate for peace and oppose war that benefit the military-industrial complex and the ruling class geopolitical war games. The plan of the Democratic Party to oppose Donald Trump is to defend the military-industrial complex, propose never-ending war against Russia, and defend failed institutions while avoiding class issues. The Democratic Party is completely cooked.
Also, Ukraine is, literally a replay of Vietnam. I mean, almost every war we've been in since Vietnam has been a replay of Vietnam. Which is like, we got to defend democracy against those commies. But, Russia's not communist anymore, by the way. Anyways, Ukraine is just another Vietnam. It's another, false flag inspired, but the false flag was over time, not necessarily one event. It was just a reason to get into military escapade and keep it going so that we can generate, money from the military industrial complex, etc. Anyways, Vietnam was something that leftists opposed, and now leftists are supporting Ukraine because they don't know what's going on, because leftists don't even know what left is anymore. They don't know the right from their left because they're right wingers now, but they think that they're left. So they don't know the right from their left. They're very confused. They don't understand what they should be supporting or not supporting. They're supporting a thing that in the past, historically, they would have totally opposed because they think it's some kind of World War II situation where we got to defend against the Nazis. And we're on the side of, and whatever. We won't even go into the dumb misinformation that, that World War II was all about. Anyways, back in the day, most of these people would be in the streets, but they're not. Part of the reason why they're not is because we don't have a draft. Thank God we don't have a draft. If we had a draft, I'm sure people would feel very differently about this. But because we don't have a draft, and everybody can just sit at home going like, oh, well, don't like those Russians. Those Ruskies sure sound bad. They can just, not really pay attention and not really care that much about it. But I'm sure if their sons and daughters were going off and being killed in war and coming back in body bags, they'd pay way more attention. I'm going to play this video. Okay, so I'm just taking this video at face value. Supposedly the cartels have been beaten back in Tijuana, but there's conflicting, and they're saying this is because of the Trump administration. Okay, all of this take with a huge grain of salt. I just thought the video was interesting. That's all. I'm playing this because the video is interesting. And there's conflicting reports. Some people are saying it's worse than ever, and some people are saying it's getting better. I don't know. Does anybody have any on-the-ground news in Tijuana and know anything about what's really going on in Tijuana? There's a Mexican citizen reporting that the cartel presence has disappeared in Tijuana, Mexico. People aren't being trafficked anymore. The cartel isn't there to charge businesses to operate. Residents are having their money stolen. Cartel members have even been killed. Residents in Tijuana are now very happy. Thank you, Donald Trump. I'll take this whole thing with a huge grain of salt. But
okay, so a lot of people used to cross out of Tijuana, and everybody had to pay the cartel. And what are you telling me about the cartel now?
Now, no more cartel in the Tijuana, and it's done. No more paying the cartel.
And they used to take all the money from the businesses too. In Tijuana. Everybody
is stealing the money, stealing everything.
But some of them must have fought with guns. Some of them must have fought. There must have been a shootout.
Yeah.
So there was a war.
Yes.
And the government won. How many cartel do you think were killed in Tijuana?
A lot. Every day, maybe 20, 30 cartels
is dead.
dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
I'm
good to
serious.
news. The American people will be happy to hear that.
En Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, a lot are there too.
Okay, speak in Spanish. Say it in Spanish this time, what you just told me. Speak in Spanish about the cartel being wiped out.
Cartel, mi gobierno allá en México ya lo está acabando los cartel. Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Tijuana, Agua Prieta, 2 más. Ahí están los carteles. Ahora sí, el gobierno ya lo está acabando.
Okay. So I thought that was interesting. A lot of people they're saying part of it is that there's a drone predator flying around in the air. I don't know. Anyways, supposedly this guy says that things are worse than ever. There's a couple posts that are saying like, no, all of this is a lie. I don't know what to believe because, I just thought it was interesting. If anybody has any like ground level information on this, I would like to know if we can get a confirmation, like a real person confirmation on this. Not to say that this person isn't real, but you totally trust him, Denver. Everything is propaganda. Yeah. Real quick, I want to read these comments on Rockfin from Turin because they're good comments on the last couple stories. Turin says, no debate required. George Soros, was both a Jew and a Nazi collaborator. In fact, there were lots of Jewish Nazi collaborators. So yeah, the idea that you can't be a Nazi and be a Jew is utterly just ridiculous. It's just such a ridiculous idea. And if a Jewish person is doing Nazi stuff, I guess they're a Nazi, aren't they? Right? Just by their actions alone define them. So, the word Jew, just putting the word Jew on somebody just doesn't suddenly absolve them of horrible things. And this is, Israel and this whole situation is like the ultimate in, when people are always talking about woke and how it's been co-opted by people to ruin the word woke or to whatever, in order to do terrible things under the cover of being like diverse or inclusive. This is Israel is the ultimate adventure in wokeism, and it's just so ridiculous. And this is why people hate the whole, why people are so against woke or DEI, right? Because it's been co-opted or twisted to me, like the idea of inclusion and diversity is like a great idea. I love diversity and inclusion. And woke means being awake to what the man is doing, right? But like it's been twisted because you put people who sound woke on TV like Joy Reid, or woke people in Congress like AOC, and then you run cover for terrible things under the cover of being, a woke, ethnically diverse, right, individual, and you're doing the bidding of the man. Basically, Obama is also a good example of that as well. So this is the reason, if you wonder why people are so anti-DEI or anti-woke, or why it's become this whole thing, that's why. That's the reason. Israel is a great example of why people hate wokeism now, or hate DEI now, because it's being twisted. And if you just say, oh, he's a Jew, he can't possibly do anything wrong, that's so retarded. Anyways, it's incredibly retarded. So just use your brain whenever possible. Okay, let's keep going. Also, Turin says, A pro-war progressive is an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. Like government efficiency or military intelligence. Yeah. This is good. Israel has subjugated Jew. Yeah, and Israel and Zionists have made a joke of what it means to be a Jew, a Jewish person, right? Like, it's not Judaism or being Jewish is not about doing what Israel is doing. Or being a Zionist. It's not the same thing. And some people understand that. And a lot of people don't understand that. Okay. All right, Kamashwari Kate, this is a good comment. The original laws against Jews in Nazi Germany were at immigrant Jews, not to citizen Jews of Germany, which is why the citizen Jews supported laws against the immigrant Jews. Interesting, okay. Okay. I was going to say, Salt Laker's study suggests Adolf Hitler had Jewish and African ancestors. In fact, I think that, I've heard that Adolf Hitler had, some Jewish lineage, or also that he was somehow related to the Rothschilds. Is that correct? Which is not the same. Again, not the same. Thing, but so that's also interesting. So Hitler himself could have been a Nazi Jew. Okay. Max Blumenthal was recently detained by the feds when he came back into the country, and here he is describing his. Is kind of long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is a post on X from Max Blumenthal. Why was I questioned by the feds? Well, the reason why he's questioned by the feds is because he questions what's going on in Israel. Max Blumenthal, pretty Jewish dude who is not supportive of what is going on in Israel or of the Zionist, regime and what is going on. So there you go. As I approached the customs line at Dulles International Airport early on the morning of February 24th, a man called out to me, "Mr. Blumenthal." He identified himself as an officer with Customs and Border Protection and led me into a cavernous secondary screening room where he treated me to a strange and disconcerting questioning session. I had just returned from a leisurely trip to Nicaragua with my family, during which I participated in no political activities. But the agent's line of questioning suggested federal authorities had little interest in my visit to Nicaragua, a country that happens to be controlled by a socialist-oriented government on Washington's hit list. As my family and I followed the agent down a long hallway, he turned to me and said, "I caught your latest appearance on Judge Napolitano, a former Fox News host and jurist, who hosts a daily live stream featuring former military and intelligence officials, as well as journalists like me, who dissent from official national security narratives. Nearly all of my appearances on Napolitano's program, Judging Freedom, have focused on Israel's blood-soaked wars in Gaza, Lebanon, and beyond throughout the past 16 months. When I asked the agent how he liked my interview with the judge, he shrugged and declined to volunteer an opinion. He was simply trying to warm me up for our question and answer session. or darkly signaling to me that Big Brother was watching. This is just a friendly exchange, he insisted as we entered the cavernous secondary screening room. You're not a target or anything. Standing across from me at a metal desk, the agent asked me to fill out a questionnaire with my personal info and details of my trip. As soon as I completed the form, he flipped it over and displayed a handwritten list containing several names. "Do you know any of these people?" he asked. Two of those listed were Anglo names, Nicole Smith and Susan Benjamin. The other three were extremely common Muslim names. Because the agent would not allow me to photograph the list, I was only able to commit one to memory, Muhammad Khan. I could not recall any people I knew with those names, and the only Nicole Smith I could think of was the late model who died under strange circumstances at age 39. I therefore told the agent the names were unfamiliar to me. To be sure, I would not have assisted the officer, even if I had personal connection with one of the names on the list. I've learned from activists and journalists who have experienced similar probing that federal agents often deploy inane or disingenuous questions to get their subject talking, then attempt to manipulate or entrap them so they can implicate them in a crime. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that police are allowed to lie to elicit confessions from suspects. If government agents want to subject American citizens like me to extended questioning, they must follow constitutional procedures and allow us to have a lawyer present. After spending several minutes inside a small office, the agent returned to inform us we were free to go. As we exited the screening room and headed toward the baggage claim area, an airport worker from West Africa pulled up to me on a ride-on floor scrubber, shook my hand, and asked for a selfie. Like the federal agent, he was apparently aware of my journalistic output. He viewed it in a much more favorable light. While waiting for our luggage, my wife, Anya Parampil, had a disturbing realization. She had been Googling the names on the list with the officer presented to me and discovered that Susan Benjamin was the birth name of our friend Medea Benjamin, co-founder of Code Pink and one of the most widely recognized anti-war activists on the planet. The following day, I informed Medea about my encounter at Dulles and asked if she had experienced anything similar. She told me there was a period when she was harassed by federal authorities each time she traveled out of the country. The FBI once dispatched an officer to meet her at an airport upon her return from a foreign trip and called her on several occasions in an unsuccessful attempt to solicit a meeting. She said the harassment stopped after she filed a series of complaints, but my experience has led her to believe it will begin again. While I was allowed to return to my country after a fairly brief question and answer session with a polite federal officer, the interaction felt like an act of political harassment and seemed to signal an escalation against journalists and activists who've expressed anti-war, anti-Zionist views. I can only speculate on what the Fed's ultimate objective was. However, I know of several anti-war activists who have had FBI agents appear at their doors over the past several months asking questions about Iran and individuals with Muslim or Arab names. Just down the road from Dulles, the FBI raided the home of a Palestinian-American family whose daughter is a Palestine solidarity activist at George Mason University. Within the broader realm of Five Eyes, in European vassal states without the same free speech protections Americans enjoy, journalists like Ali Abunimah, Asa Winstanley, and Richard Medhurst have been subjected to police raids, imprisonment, and even criminal prosecution for opinions they've expressed on Israel-Palestine. My colleague at the Grey Zone, Kit Clarenberg, was detained by British counter-terror cops and grilled for hours about his journalism on London's machinations in Ukraine and beyond. Another one of our contributors, Jeremy Lafredo, spent several days in an Israeli prison and was ordered to self-deport after authorities falsely accused him of assisting an enemy during wartime for his journalism inside the country's occupied frontiers. In Canada, activist Yves Engler was just released from 5 days in jail after a fanatical Zionist activist, Dahlia Kurtz, accused him of hate speech for branding her a fascist. You can't call a Zionist a fascist, even though Zionism is a anagram for fascism, right? Is that right? Is it an anagram? An anagram. That's what I meant to say. Zionism is an anagram for fascism. Anyways, meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu travels freely from Berlin to Washington, D.C., despite an ICC arrest warrant for authorizing ghastly war crimes in the besieged Gaza Strip. My experience at Dulles International Airport paled in comparison to what a growing number of journalists and activists have endured in NATO states under Zionist management. Nonetheless, or Zionist is an anagram for Nazi, that's what I meant to say, not fascist, but right? Nazi, Zionist, Nazism, Zionist, anyways, somewhere in there. I think I'm reaching. Nonetheless, it is important to document encounters like these and to prepare for future interactions that might not be as friendly. Tom Hartman calls anti-war journalists Putin puppets. Really? When people say the word Putin puppet, I immediately recoil in disgust. You're a Putin puppet. We all have African ancestors. That's right, Turin. Absolutely. I mean, I believe that everybody has. Oh, this is a video I wanted to go back to Ukraine because I forgot to play this video about Ukraine. And this is, I should have played this earlier because this kind of tells the story of why what's happening in Ukraine is happening. What was happening in Ukraine 10 years ago? In this phone call to Jeffrey Pyatt, Victoria Nuland can be heard handpicking the Ukrainian government against the democratic will of the Ukrainian people. They overthrew the democratically elected president of Ukraine, then handpicked the people that were going to replace them. And then things progress from there. I'll play this now. Here we go.
I think.
I think we're in play. The Klitschko piece is obviously the complicated electron here, especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. And you've seen some of my notes on the troubles in the marriage right now. So we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. But I think your argument to him, which you'll need to make, I think that's the next phone call we want to set up, is exactly the one you made to Yachts. And I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario. And I'm very glad he said what he said in response.
Good. So I don't think Klitsch should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think what in terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, you know, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yachts is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, you know, what he needs is Klitsch and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. You know, I just think Klitsch going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay, good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
My understanding from that call, but you tell me, was that the big 3 were going into their own meeting, and that Yachts was going to offer in that context a 3-way, you know, the 3+1 conversation or 3+2 with you. Is that not how you understood it?
No, I mean, that's what he proposed, but I think just knowing the dynamic that's been with them where Klitschko has been the top dog, he's going to take a while to show up for whatever meeting they've got. He's probably talking to his guys at this point. So I think you reaching out directly to him helps with the personality management among the 3, and it gives you also a chance to move fast on all this stuff and put us behind it before they all sit down and he explains why he doesn't like it.
Okay, good. I'm happy. Why don't you reach out to him and see if he wants to talk before or after?
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Okay, I've now written, one more wrinkle for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
can't remember if I told you this or if I only told Washington this, that when I talked to Jeff Feltman this morning, he had a new name for the UN guy, Robert Seri. Did I write you that this morning?
Yeah, I saw that.
He's now gotten both Seri and Ban Ki-moon to agree that Seri could come in Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain altitude, the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it. And again, the fact that this is out there right now, I'm still trying to figure out in my mind why Yanukovych did that. But in the meantime, there's a Party of Regions faction meeting going on right now, and I'm sure there's a lively argument going on in that group at this point. But anyway, we could land jelly side up on this one if we move fast. So let me work on Klitschko, and if you can just keep, I think we want to try to get somebody with an international personality to come out here and help to midwife this thing. And then the other issue is some kind of outreach to Yanukovych, but we probably regroup on that tomorrow as we see how things start to fall into place.
So on that piece, Jeff, when I wrote the note, Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deets to stick. So okay. Biden's willing.
Yeah. Isn't Tonnybrook the guy that was more aligned with the Nazis? Am I wrong? I don't know if I'm pronouncing. Okay, what I meant to say earlier, just so I clarify, because my brain was trying to think of like too many things at once. Nazi and Zion are almost an anagram of each other. Very close to being an anagram of each other. I find that interesting. I find that very interesting. So, anyways. I mean, yeah, Tom Hartman is like unadorned oatmeal in the morning. It's just about as bland and shallow as you can get. Yes, he's a Nazi. Oh yeah, Tonnybach. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but yes, he was the Nazi leader, and they're talking about him being not on the inside, but on the outside, but being close by, but him conferring with Tonnybrook. Klitschko. Yeah. Fuck the EU. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Zion Nazi. There you go. Okay. Guys, if you like the show, if you like the show coming to you for free on the daily, Monday through Friday, and you want the show to continue coming to you for free Monday through Friday on the daily, it really does help when people support the channel. Lots of ways to help support the channel in the description box below. And, all the usual methods are there. Venmo, PayPal, CashApp. Venmo and PayPal are like, Venmo's owned by PayPal. It's almost the same thing. Why is there two different things? It's owned by the same company. It's like it's like a monopoly, but makes you feel like you're choosing two different things. So is there anything else like that in our world? I wonder. He does have a big following because people like unflavored oatmeal in the morning, I guess. Did I organize the new? No. Well, no, not yet. Those things are going to take some time, Deeds. I'm getting some equipment. I've got a few more pieces of equipment together so I can record. But as far as having like a whole studio, it's going to be a while before I have a whole studio put together. And I don't have I have a place to live, and I'm totally fine in where I'm living right now. But in the long term, I'm going to need like a place, like a bigger place to live. And there are lots of things going on. But anyways, if you like supporting the show, or you want to support the show and you like the show being free, you can support all those ways. People support the show all the time. Many of the regular followers follow us, support the show quite often, and I appreciate you guys. You know who you are. I try to shout you all out whenever I can. But I do appreciate you all showing up. Hanging out, showing up, supporting, and all that kind of good stuff. Do I have gaffer's tape? No, need some of that. All right, guys. Appreciate you. I'll see you all on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. And enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you all on the flip. Peace.